Vaccination. Some facts from the history. The practice of immunization dates back hundreds of years. Buddhist monks drink snake venom to confer immunity to snakebite. The Chinese used inoculation techniques against smallpox as early as 1,000 years before Christ. The principle of vaccination was as follows. The physicians gave children dried crusts from the lesions of people suffering from smallpox to protect against the disease. While some developed protection, others developed the disease. By the end of the 17th century, variolation had spread to Africa, India, and the Ottoman Empire, followed by the United Kingdom and America, where the method of vaccination more frequently used was a puncture to the skin. The idea of attenuation of virulent infections developed slowly over centuries. Variolation was analogous to the use of small amounts of poison to render people immune to toxic effects. The first vaccine was developed by British physician Edward Jenner, who in 1796 used the cowpox virus to confer protection against smallpox in humans. Jenner's contribution was to use a substance similar to but safer than smallpox to confer immunity. In 1798, the first smallpox vaccine was developed. Following the findings of Jenner as the first attempt to control disease by vaccination, the smallpox vaccine went through many iterations, with the newer vaccines developed by modern cell culture techniques, and by the 20th century, the World Health Organization declared a global eradication of smallpox. The first laboratory-created vaccine was for avian cholera, developed by Louis Pasteur, French chemist and microbiologist, in 1879. In 1881, he demonstrated immunization against anthrax, injecting sheep with a preparation containing attenuated forms of the bacillus that causes the disease. In 1885, Pasteur created the rabies vaccine, beginning an active period of vaccine development for human illnesses against typhoid, cholera, diphtheria, tuberculosis, and tetanus, among others. Vaccines for polio, measles, and mumps and rubella followed in the mid-20th century. The first inactivated vaccines were developed in the United States and in France. Inactivation was first applied to the typhoid, plague, and cholera bacilli. Inactivated vaccines against typhoid and plague were first applied in the United Kingdom and in Germany. Live vaccines against cholera were developed in Spain and in England, but it was the vaccine developed by using heat-inactivated cholera bacilli that came into general use. That vaccine was given parentally, but did not give long-lasting immunity and was painful. Formalin inactivated host cell pertussis vaccine was first tested to be relatively successful in controlling serious disease. In the 20th century, chemical inactivation was also applied to viruses. Influenza vaccine was the first successful inactivated virus vaccine, and later an inactivated polio vaccine was developed. A hepatitis A vaccine was also created on the basis of chemical inactivation. Whole inactivated viruses or subunits of virus have been used to make successful vaccines against encephalitis virus and hemophilic influenza of type B virus. Early in the history of bacteriology, morphological studies and chemical analysis showed that many pathogens were surrounded by a polysaccharide capsule, and that antibodies against the capsule could promote phagocytosis. All of the capsular polysaccharide vaccines generated serum antibodies that prevented bacteremia. This principle was applied to meningococcal and pneumococcal vaccines, with both control of invasive infections and spread of the pathogenic microorganisms. The middle of the 20th century was an active time for vaccine development and research. Methods for growing viruses in the laboratory led to rapid discoveries and innovations. Researchers targeted common childhood diseases, and the vaccines for these diseases greatly reduced their incidence. Thank you for your attention.